welcome back. Today I wanted to, I guess, just check in. I don't have a whole lot to say. You know, we've had all that hot weather and I've stayed in the house and just hibernated for the last couple of days. So not a whole lot has been going on. So something happened last night. So since I've been hibernating in the house, of course I've been watching TV obsessively. And there's certain shows that I really, really love. And I really enjoy those treasure hunter kind of shows where like Expedition Unknown, where they go into these lands and look at these myths and find these treasures and shipwrecks and hidden villages, you know, Mayan culture and stuff like that. But I'm also obsessed with this other show called Gordon's Treasures, and it's the same kind of thing. They look for shipwrecks, but this time it was from a map from space. And, you know, anyway, I get really obsessed with that stuff. So I was telling my significant other, I said, you know, I really enjoyed archaeology in school, but I didn't get good grades in it. So I thought, well, this must not be for me. And his comment was, I wonder how many other people got a bad grade in a class and decided not to pursue that career. And I was like, wow, you know, kind of right. Like I let one class kind of get in the way of pursuing something that I really, really enjoyed. And I remember the same thing happened with psychology. I remember in school, I really wanted to do psychology. I was a big fan of Days of Our Lives. And Marlena was a psychologist, and she's always getting herself into these situations. And I thought, that'd be kind of cool. I love autobiographies. That's all I ever read. And I love shows like Intervention and My 600-Pound Life and all this crazy stuff because I'm just obsessed with people and their problems and why they make the choices that they do. So I was told by one person, even though I really liked psychology, that in order to do anything with it, you have to get a master's degree. So that was like, ugh, more school? Absolutely not. So, you know, you think back to these things, of things that you enjoyed, things that you had interests in, and you start to lose over the years that sort of interest in doing that particular hobby and so on and so forth. When I was younger, I also was really, really into sewing. And I remember I used to make clothes for my Barbie. I had one Barbie doll that was actually a Cher doll. A funny little story, I was obsessed with this Cher doll, and you know, this was in Massachusetts, so we had those radiators, and I accidentally put her on the radiator and her boobs melted like inward, so she had this really weird figure. But I loved that Cher doll, and I would make clothes for it. I would make clothes for myself out of old curtains, a la Sound of Music. I remember I took an old tent and I made an outfit out of that. I'll try to include pictures at the end of this video so you can see. But I had this interest in sewing, but the sewing machine that we had was broken, and I would spend hours and hours and hours just trying to fix this sewing machine so I could actually sew without having to do everything by hand. And you would think my parents would go, hey, let's get that sewing machine fixed, and that'll be your Christmas present or a birthday present. But they never did. So it wasn't until later in school, you know, in middle school, you could choose home ec and you could choose all these different things. And one part of home ec was the cooking. The other part was the sewing. And I remember I really enjoyed that. I remember in high school, when I lived in Massachusetts before I moved, I took a sewing class in school and I really loved it. And I made a pair of purple corduroy pleated pants. I was styling, but I did very well in that class. I think I got an A or something like that. And I had a family friend actually who was a seamstress who could have really, really helped me with that. But for whatever reason, I never sought out her help. I was shy. I didn't have a sewing machine that worked. So it was just one of those unfortunate things. So later in life, when I graduated from college, I decided I wanted to start sewing again. So I bought a sewing machine and I would sew all kinds of stuff. It was fun. I would sew gifts for friends and I would make these stuffed animals that were actually people with clothes and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, I really, really, really enjoyed doing that. And this was before Google. So if you got stuck in a project or a pattern and you couldn't figure out what you did wrong, you had no help. I mean, there was no one, unless you knew someone who could sew. And at that time we were in Florida, so I didn't have that family friend. So it was kind of a hobby that I just sort of threw off to the side because I had no use for it at this point. And I've been thinking a lot lately about getting back into the sewing. And it just got me thinking, okay, if I get a sewing machine, where am I gonna put it? If I have to buy fabric, I have to go all the way into Hollywood or downtown LA, and that's kind of like a sketchy area to be in. And I was thinking, no. And you know, you can convince yourself of all these things. It's something I enjoy, it's something I want to do. My significant other even wanted to buy me one for my birthday, and I was like, no, 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 no. So I think when you're younger, you really embrace these hobbies, and then when you're older, you start thinking about all that baggage from back in the day, and you go, I don't have the space for it. I don't know, will I actually use it? Do I want to spend that kind of money? And when you're a kid, you just don't have these reservations. We were walking out, we walk at the Rose Bowl, the Pasadena Rose Bowl, and I was with my significant other, and there was a peloton, I'm gonna impress you with my lingo, of bike racers. You know, a group of street bike, what do you call those, speed bikes, is called a peloton. Did you know that? Because I didn't know that. I thought a peloton was just the name of a stationary bike that they sell. I didn't know it actually had a meaning. So anyway, they were all coming by and stuff like that, and you know, my significant other has a speed bike, but he doesn't use it. It doesn't fit him appropriately. And I said, babe, why don't you do that? It sounds like, you know, they go really fast. And he's like, oh, they don't go fast enough, and because he's used to racing motorcycles. And his other comment was, it costs a lot of money. And I'm like, really? Because racing motorcycles costs a shitload more money. But this is something you can do, you know, every day. When you go to a racetrack, it's a whole big deal, and you got to plan ahead, and you got to bring equipment, and you got to make sure everything's in working order, and you got to check the weather, and this is just so much easier. Why don't you do it? And he really didn't have a good excuse. So I was like, why, when we get older, are we so less free about pursuing things that interest us? It just kind of boggles my mind. I've been guilty of it. He's been guilty of it. How many of you are guilty of that? If you have something that brings you joy, something that you enjoy doing, why are we overthinking it or thinking it to death? Why are we just not doing it? And I think it's because, for me, I have bought so many things thinking I would use it. Just the other day, I bought contact lenses, you know, those colored contact lenses. And one color looked really horrible, and I was like, ugh. I've opened the box, so I can't return it. I just threw it away. And the other one I liked. It was like a green contact, because my eyes are somewhat green. They're like a brown green, and I thought if I brought out more green, it'd be pretty. And I really liked it, but I opened the box, and once you open the box, you can't return it, and I saw that the lens didn't look right. It looked like it had a tear on the edge. But I opened it anyway because I didn't know the return rules. And I was like, damn it, I can't return it. I opened it. So so I did the same thing with hair extensions. I think I had a picture of me with very long, pretty hair extensions. And then when I got it home, I was like, I'm not gonna do this every day, doing this and clipping this and spend all that time on my hair. Are you kidding me? I'm just not gonna do it. It's just not me. I don't, it's just when you get older, you lose that sense of fun. You lose that sense of making things enjoyable. And I don't know. It's been something that's been just happening for a few weeks. And I don't know if we're getting smarter as we're getting older, or if we're just getting more and more difficult. I don't know. I don't know if I want to start sewing. I have the hair extensions, and then when I threw away those contact lenses because one was broken and the other one looked horrible, I was like, I just wasted $80. That was dumb. That was really, really dumb. Just like the hair extensions, that fuckers were expensive. They were like $300, so I wasted $300 there. And if you do enough of that, you get to a point where you're like, I'm just an idiot. And what I should have done is kept the one good contact lens and just ordered another one, knowing better that if it looks fishy in the window before I open the package, then don't open it. But I didn't. I threw it away. I'm like, what? So I guess we get frustrated as we get older. And this video is way too long for talking about nothing, but I think we really need to get back to what it is that brings us joy without overthinking it, without analyzing everything. Yeah, I'd like to sew. Every once in a while I see things that I think I could do that. I actually want to do my own alterations because I do have a lot of stuff that I wear that I get altered. So why can't I learn to do my own alterations? We've got YouTube, we've got Google. There's plenty of access to information on the internet and everywhere else. So I don't know, I got to think about it, but I really want to get back to who I was when I was younger. Like the mentality that I had, the enjoyment I took in certain things, and not remember the negative, but just remember the positive about it, the things about it that I really love. So anyway, if you are thinking about, I need a hobby, the kids are out of the house, start thinking about when you were a kid, the things you loved to do. I have a girlfriend who started painting. She loves it. She even sent me one of her pieces, and I just love it. It sits over there on my little built-in bookcase. And she didn't know she would love it, but she loves it. So go out there and try things. I want to start riding again. I haven't been riding in a long time, and I want to get into that. And my whole thought process was, I got to buy a bike, and I got to find people to ride with. I don't want to ride alone. And my husband's like, Donna, I have a bike in the garage. Just let me know when you want to ride it, and I'll make it street legal. I'm like, okay. So like, why am I overthinking this? It's just stupid. So go back to your roots, find out what it is that you enjoy doing, and go ahead and do them, and try not to be like me and overanalyze everything. Just go out and have fun and do it and enjoy. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your life again. Do those things. It's going to make you very happy. Bye-bye.